Imagine a weapon so powerful it could end a war in seconds, but carry the weight of destroying humanity itself. During World War II, the world's greatest scientific minds worked tirelessly in secret to create a weapon that would forever change history. This was the Manhattan Project, a covert race to harness the power of the atom and unleash it in the most devastating way imaginable. But how did we go from laboratories and chalkboards to mushroom clouds rising above Hiroshima and Nagasaki? And what drove scientists, many of whom feared the very thing they were creating, to pursue this deadly innovation? In this video, we'll explore the origins of the Manhattan Project, the breakthroughs that made the bomb possible, and the moral dilemmas that haunted its creators. By the end, you'll understand how this race against time wasn't just about science. It was about power, fear, and the future of humanity itself. To understand the Manhattan Project, we have to go back to the early 1930s, when scientists made a groundbreaking discovery: nuclear fission. European physicists like Otto Hahn and Lisa Meitner uncovered that splitting an atom could release immense amounts of energy. This discovery set off alarm bells among Allied nations as tensions with Nazi Germany grew. If Hitler's regime managed to weaponize this science first, the consequences could be catastrophic. Enter Albert Einstein and physicist Leo Szilard in 1939. They penned a now famous letter to US President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning that Germany was likely working on a nuclear bomb. The letter spurred Roosevelt to action, leading to the creation of a secret program to develop the weapon first. By 1942, the United States formally launched the Manhattan Project. Headquartered in Los Alamos, New Mexico, it brought together some of the greatest minds in science, including J. Robert Oppenheimer, who would become its scientific director, and General Leslie Groves, the military leader overseeing the project. The race to build the bomb wasn't just a scientific challenge. It was a race against time, secrecy, and the Axis powers. The Manhattan Project was one of the most ambitious scientific endeavors in history. Its goal: to turn the theory of nuclear fission into a practical weapon. But the challenges were immense. First, the team had to find the right materials. Uranium-235 and plutonium-239 were identified as the key elements for sustaining a chain reaction, but they were extremely rare and difficult to produce. Massive facilities, like the Oak Ridge plant in Tennessee and Hanford in Washington, were built to enrich uranium and create plutonium on an industrial scale. Then came the challenge of designing the bomb itself. Scientists developed two designs: Little Boy, a uranium-based bomb, and Fat Man, which used plutonium. Both required extraordinary precision to ensure the chain reaction would work as intended. All of this culminated in the Trinity test on July 16, 1945, in the New Mexico desert. At 5:29 a.m., the world's first nuclear explosion lit up the sky, leaving a massive mushroom cloud in its wake. The test was a success. But for many involved, it was also a moment of reckoning. Oppenheimer famously quoted the Bhagavad Gita, saying, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The bomb was ready, but the moral questions loomed larger than ever. As the Manhattan Project progressed, ethical debates raged behind closed doors. Many scientists struggled with the implications of their work. Were they building a weapon to end the war, or unleashing a force that could destroy civilization? Physicist Leo Szilard, who had initially advocated for the project, became one of its harshest critics. He and others argued that demonstrating the bomb's power on an uninhabited area might persuade Japan to surrender without mass casualties. However, military leaders believed only direct use on cities would have the desired impact. For Oppenheimer, the project's success was both exhilarating and deeply troubling. While he believed the bomb could save lives by ending the war, he also foresaw the Pandora's box it would open: an arms race and the constant threat of nuclear annihilation. The scientists had given humanity a new power, but at what cost? On August 6, 1945, a B-29 bomber named the Enola Gay flew over Hiroshima, carrying a single weapon that would change the course of history. At 8:15 a.m., Little Boy, a uranium-based bomb, was dropped. 43 seconds later, it detonated at an altitude of about 1,900 feet, unleashing a fireball with temperatures exceeding 4,000 degrees Celsius. The explosion flattened 5 square miles of the city, instantly killing an estimated 70,000 people. Thousands more succumbed to injuries, burns, and radiation sickness in the following days, weeks, and months. 3 days later, on August 9th, the US dropped a second bomb, Fat Man, over Nagasaki. While the mountainous terrain somewhat contained the blast, the devastation was still catastrophic. Approximately 40,000 people were killed instantly, with total casualties eventually surpassing 70,000. These two bombings marked the first, and so far only, use of nuclear weapons in war. The human toll was staggering, but so were the geopolitical consequences. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, bringing an end to World War II. Many credited the bombings with forcing Japan's hand, though historians continue to debate whether Japan was already close to surrendering, due to the cumulative effects of conventional bombing and the Soviet Union's entry into the war against them. For survivors, or hibakusha, the aftermath of the bombings was a nightmare. Those who survived the initial explosions faced severe radiation sickness, chronic health conditions, and the psychological scars of witnessing unprecedented destruction. The effects of radiation exposure lingered for decades, causing cancers, birth defects, and generational trauma. Globally, the Manhattan Project's success initiated a dangerous new era. The atomic bomb's unparalleled power ushered in the Cold War, as the United States and the Soviet Union raced to develop more advanced and destructive nuclear arsenals. The fear of mutually assured destruction defined global politics for decades. What began as a race to defeat Nazi Germany evolved into a weapon that reshaped the modern world. The Manhattan Project achieved its military objective, but it also raised profound ethical and existential questions about the role of science in warfare and the fragile line between progress and annihilation. The Manhattan Project was more than a scientific achievement. It was a turning point in human history. It showcased the extraordinary potential of science, but also its terrifying capacity for destruction. The atomic bomb ended World War II, but it also raised questions that remain unanswered. How do we balance progress with responsibility? Can humanity be trusted with the power to destroy itself? Today, the legacy of the Manhattan Project serves as a sobering reminder of both human ingenuity and the ethical dilemmas that come with it. The mushroom cloud may have faded, but its shadow still looms over us. If you found this story thought-provoking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more deep dives into history and science.